The best $600 gaming PC build in 2021? Let's see how it came together. What's up guys, welcome back to another GigaGeek video, and today I'll be building an ultra budget PC with AMD's new integrated graphics. In this video, I'll start off with going over the prices and the parts in this PC build, then we'll do a classic GigaGeek build montage, and then we'll wrap it up with some benchmarks. Now, let's begin. Alright, now let's move on to the CPU. My client wanted to use this PC build mainly for light gaming and some light video editing, and for $600 I decided to go with the Ryzen 5 5600G. It goes for around $250 on most retail sites, but if you live near a Micro Center you can get it for only $199, and if paired with an eligible motherboard you can get another $20 off, which is pretty good savings. It has 6 cores and 12 threads just like its cousin the 5600X, and it has the new Vega 7 graphics. Alright, well now moving on to my motherboard choice for today. So I chose the Asus Prime B550M AAC. It's going for around $130 on most retail sites. It has a Wi-Fi module built in, which is a great feature. And it's a pretty standard B550 motherboard, but I just wanted to make sure it has 4 RAM slots so that my client can upgrade if she wants to. And speaking of the RAM, let's move on to our RAM choice for today. So in general, APU systems are really reliant on RAM because they don't have their own dedicated video RAM you see on dedicated graphics cards. So you have to make sure you have at least 2 RAM sticks and their clock speed is pretty fast so that you have a nice snappy experience. The memory I chose is a 16GB kit of Corsair Vengeance memory. It's clocked at 3200 MHz and has CL16 timings. And it's going for around $65 to $70. And the dual channel memory and fast clock speed will ensure that the PC has a nice snappy experience and loads up quickly in games. The storage here is a Western Digital WD Blue 500GB NVMe drive. It's a super fast SSD that will make sure games and applications load really quickly. And it's going for around $50 on most retail sites, which makes it a great choice for this budget. The power supply here is the EVGA 500BR. It's an 80+ bronze certified power supply, and it might seem a bit overkill for this APU system, but I chose it specifically for if the client ever wanted to upgrade to a higher tier graphics card like the RTX 3060 or 1660, the power supply will be ready for that. The case I chose for today is the Cooler Master MB311L. It has a micro ATX form factor, and it's probably my favorite budget case I've ever worked with. It has a mesh front panel, it has 2 ARGB fans, it is a power supply shroud, and it has a really good build quality. And I also have a personal attachment to it because it's the first case I used with when I built my first PC, and the first PC I also sold. So yeah, now let's move on to the outro. Alright, well now let's move on to some of these benchmarks of the system. So don't expect anything too crazy. There's no discrete graphics card, so the FPS is not going to be extremely high, but still very playable, and I think you guys will be pretty surprised. So starting off with CSGO, I played this game at 1080p at medium to low settings. We got around 100 FPS average and around 90 FPS in the 1% low. Just really playable for this APU system. So moving on to Valorant, this game is really not demanding. Any computer can run it with some decent performance, so we got some really good performance with this system. The average FPS was around 151 and the 1% low was around 93, and the settings were at 1080p and high settings mainly. So now moving on to some more demanding titles. Let's start off with Apex Legends. I played this game at 1080p and the settings were around medium to low. Alright, well we got an average of around 83.5 FPS and we got a 1% low of around 65. So still perfectly playable. Just keep in mind that the quality really starts to drop when you go to these medium and low settings. Just a note. For Fortnite at medium settings at 1080p, we got around 93 FPS average and the 1% low was around 73. Lastly, our most demanding title, Call of Duty. we didn't get that good performance at 1080p low settings. Our average was around 36 frames per second and our 1% low was around 25 frames per second. So turning down the resolution down to 720p at low settings, we saw around 52 frames per second average and around 35 frames per second at the 1% low. It's better performance that's barely in the playable range, so these types of games aren't really suitable for this system. So as shown in the benchmarks, the system is mainly designed for light esports titles like CSGO and Valorant, but in more demanding titles like Call of Duty and Fortnite, it really starts to show its weak points and fall apart. So my personal recommendation is to stick to light titles, and then later down the road you can always upgrade to a higher end GPU. So if you wanted to replicate this build for yourself, considering all the parts and their prices, you're looking at around $615. And if you were a bit patient and found better deals, you could probably build it for around $570 for an even cheaper build. But yeah, now let's go into the outro. Well, that wraps this video up. I hope you guys enjoyed. I had a really fun time building this computer and I'm really happy with how it turned out. And let me know what kind of other builds or other videos you want to see in the comment section down below. Make sure to like, comment, share this video, subscribe. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.